Hey guys, this is the Stupendous Wave here with a video today, and this one I am doing a full leaked trailer Jurassic World breakdown. Now this is the second trailer that we saw, and the link for it will be in the description. It is still up, so you guys still have a chance to see it. I really recommend going to that first and then coming back to this video, because you really don't want to miss the trailer if Legendary pulls it down. So let's go ahead and start off with the breakdown. Now I'm not going to be able to show the images because of course they're copyrighted, but the images from the trailer, the official trailer that are in this one, I will be showing those, and I will also be putting in some images kind of to represent what's going on. So anyway, let's get into it. We start off, it's panning over the monorail, and we see the Mosasaur tank. Now we saw this in the official trailer, this one has some added audio. It says, one of the park employees says, well, now she's a little shy, so give her a hand when she comes up, and the Mosasaur jumps up out of the water and grabs the shark, and like I said, that was seen in the main trailer. Then we cut to the Gallimimus running past the tour vehicle, again that's seen in the main trailer. Then we go to Claire, well, a voiceover of Claire that says, welcome to Jurassic World, and Claire is Bryce Dallas Howard's characters. Then we see the hamster ball rolling past the Apatosaurus, and a new shot is we see a Brachiosaur standing in the path, and it's really a majestic shot. So there's Apatosauruses and Brachiosauruses in the same area. Then we cut to Chris Pratt talking to Claire, and he is holding a rifle with what looks to be a silencer on the top, and he says it's just like taking a stroll through the jungle 65 million years ago. Then we see a man which has fallen down in the Velociraptor exhibit, and a Velociraptor is sticking its hands out and bending over like it's about to attack. It's in its attack stance. And Chris Pratt runs up, and then we see him, and he's putting both of his hands up, and there's two Velociraptors that we actually see. And he says, whoa girl. And then they start to back off, and he's like, good. Well, he says, calm down, girl. Sorry. And then they start to back off, and he says, good. So, that's what happens there. Really interesting scene. We see, of course, what the exhibit looks like. We see that they're not muzzled. Now, it is said that those are not finished Velociraptors, that they will look different. But to me, it still looks pretty cool, and it gets the scene across. Then we cut to Claire, and she says that we have our first genetically modified hybrid. We saw that in the main trailer. Then we see a really quick shot of a motorcycle followed by a Jeep pulling into what seems to be the Diabolus Rex holding center, because of course we saw the Diabolus Rex little habitat in a image that we saw. Then we see, of course, Chris Pratt is talking to Claire again in the observation room, and he says, you guys just went and made a new dinosaur, not a good idea. Again, we saw that in the main trailer. Then we pan over all of these dinosaur eggs, and there are many different sizes, so I'm assuming that that's just all types of dinosaur eggs in there. Or it could be, yeah, probably just a whole bunch of different types of dinosaur eggs. Then we cut to Wu, who's talking to Owen, and Dr. Wu says she was designed to be bigger than the T-Rex. Then we see Owen and a park worker staring up at something, and they look pretty terrified. Then we cut to a scene, and they're both running, and we of course see the Diabolus, and if you look really closely, it actually bends down while it's running and snatches up the park employee. So the park employee dies. I guess he was just not as slow as Owen was. Then we see Owen, of course, he's trying to run and get out of the containment center, get out of the gate. We see that in the main trailer, although we do not see the park worker get snatched up. Then we cut to Claire, who's sitting in a car, and she's on the phone, and she says the Diabolus, or something similar to Diabolus, is out of containment, so we know that it does escape. Then what I'm assuming to be Hamada, we see him get pulled into the jungle by something that is unseen. It's kind of a dark scene. I'm assuming that that's the Diabolus. Then we see a helicopter with a minigun, and it is shooting at the Diabolus, and the Diabolus is running, and it breaks through a fence, and it breaks into this area where it looks like it has some little pools of water around it, but it's concrete. So I'm assuming it's part of the actual park that it is broken into, and this is probably somewhere in the middle to end of the film. Then we see Owen, and he says it's learning where it fits in the food chain, which is really interesting because hopefully that's hinting at a dino battle, because if the Diabolus goes up and fights against another dinosaur, it's learning where it fits in the food chain, which is really interesting. Then we see Owen, who looks like he's on all fours looking up, and he looks pretty nervous, and I'm assuming he's looking at a dinosaur. Then we see a gigantic white foot stomp down. I'm assuming it's the Diabolus Rex's foot, because of course we saw the Diabolus Rex Lego image and it was white. We cut to a shot of a crowd who's looking very terrified, and they look like they're looking up at something. And then Owen says 21,000 people with nowhere to go. And Claire yells, "Run!" We saw that in the trailer. She's leaning over what looks to be pieces of debris and yells, "Run!" Then, which is one of the biggest holy crap moments, we see what could be the Diabolus, a Suchomimus, or a Baryonyx front shot. We just see its mouth open and a roar. We don't see anything else, which is really interesting, but I'm assuming that it's the Diabolus because the roar is similar to the T-Rex, but it starts off with a kind of hissing noise and then it fades into a sound that sounds more like the T-Rex. So I'm assuming it's the Diabolus Rex, and if it is, it looks pretty good. Then, well, a reason I think it could be the Suchomimus or the Baryonyx is that it's kind of in a swampy background, but of course the Diabolus Rex could go there as well. So if I had to bet money, I would say it's the Diabolus Rex. Then we hear, of course, the Diabolus Rex roar, hissing like sound, followed by what sounds more to be like a T-Rex. And then another holy crap moment is we see a bunch of pterodons attacking a helicopter that looks to be spinning out of control. Could this be the one with the miniguns, with the minigun on it? It doesn't look like there's a minigun on it, but again, the minigun was on the other side when it was shooting at the Diabolus. So it could be, there could be multiple helicopters. That would be interesting. I know that some of the extras in Jurassic World talked about how the helicopters had to fly through some really narrow spaces to get the shot of them running, and maybe that could be an actual helicopter scene that was in the movie and they were just mistaken. Then we see Owen, and he says, "We're going after it with everything we've got," and he looks like he's talking to another doctor who's in kind of a pink shirt. And then we see briefly what looks to be Hamada running through the forest, and this, I apologize, this comes immediately after we hear the roar of the Diabolus Rex, and after this scene the pterodons attack. But we see Hamada, and he looks like he's running through the forest, and he's got a gun, and I'm assuming it's Hamada, but it might be someone else. Then of course we see Claire with the flare, we saw that in the main trailer, and we see Owen with what looks to be an automatic rifle amongst the crowd, which is running away. And then we see the pterodons attacking the helicopter, and then Owen says, "We're going after it with everything we've got." And then the final scene is Zach and Gray sitting in a hamster ball. Zach's phone briefly rings. We hear a big old stomp down, then the T-Rex roar, and the trailer ends. So this is a leaked trailer, so the link is in the description. It is still up as of making this video. I definitely recommend checking it out before it's gone. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and have a great day.